Hi guys, you're very welcome back to the vlog. I'm here to discuss the Booker Prize winner of 2022 and the Booker Prize event itself, but the winner was, as you know at this stage, The Seven Moons of Mali Almeida from Shehan Karan Atalaka, and I did a bit better with his name, just a little bit better that time out. Yeah, I did predict it myself. I felt it in my soul. I felt when I was reading the book, and I haven't yet finished. It's the one of the six that I still haven't. It's ongoing, and I'm reading, a bit by bit. I tend to read a certain amount of this, and then I put it down, but and then come back to it. But I felt in the parts that I've read, and nearly half of it read now at this stage, that certainly, yeah, it's a Booker Prize winner, and why? Not because I enjoyed it, but because it has a certain quality in the prose. It was just something about it that I felt this is exactly what the Booker Prize want. This is what they love, the judges love, and Neil MacGregor will have to tell you, and he actually said that the ambition of its scope and the hilarious audacity of its narrative technique were one of the reasons why it won. One thing about the Booker Prize ceremony was that I was dead impressed by Shehan Karan Atalaka. I was very impressed by him, if I can't say his name. Anyway, I thought before the actual ceremony, he was interviewed, and he was super cool, super calm, very articulate, very engaging, very interesting and humorous. And he said at the time that he was actually like a volcano, that he really felt nervous, but he didn't look anything like that. Afterwards then, or during the ceremony, obviously, he went up to collect his prize, and presented him by Camilla, the Queen Consort. She's a big reader and very supportive reader to, a supportive person to the literature circles in England. So well done, very worthy that she would present it. But to move on, in his speech, and he was being kind of pushed along to actually finish it up within a minute, and he said, I'll do my best to get it within a minute. I say he probably took about 8 or 10 minutes, and you know what, that was about 8 or 10 minutes too short for me, because I really enjoyed it. Yeah, he paid homage to a whole load of people, and it was just beautiful to see him coming out in Tamil, which apparently he's learning at the moment, and Sinhalese, the two languages of his own country, Sri Lanka. Yeah, this is the second Sri Lankan winner of the Booker Prize. The first one was in 1992 when Michael Onjate wrote The English Patient, and it went on to win with, in fairness, Barry Unsworth, the Sacred Hunger. I'd have to say Barry Unsworth is probably a better book than Onjate. Fantastic film. Pity about the actual book itself. It didn't quite live up to the standards that the film did, but it's the second time that a Sri Lankan has won the actual the Booker Prize. As I said, a very engaging author. I just thought, first off, he was talking about guitars, and I myself have a few, quite a few, but he has even more. I think he's 6 or 7, and he might buy a new guitar with some of the money, or maybe he'd buy a bass guitar so that he might go into his garage and be able to play with a garage band. He doesn't fancy himself as a massive singer. Is not going to make any dent into the music scene, according to himself, but he does enjoy playing music, which was fantastic. And of course, he also loves the bit of cricket as well too, and happened to mention that the T20 World Cup is on at the moment, and the big surprise really is that Sri Lanka were beaten by, I think, the outsiders Namibia, and he certainly made reference to it. I think his first book was about cricket as well, and we'll talk about that in a while. Okay, my own views on The Seven Moons of Mali Almeida so thus far. I did mention in the last vlog that it has periods of, lucidity, and that I'm able to read and fantastic and great prose. I know exactly what's going on. Maybe I'm a bit of a control freak. Maybe I need to know exactly what's happening all the time. But there are parts here that I find I get frustrated. I get frustrated with myself for not understanding, what world are we at, or what world are we looking at? Are we looking at the fantasy world? Are we looking from the fantasy world into the real world? And the fantasy world being this kind of intermediate world between a heaven of sorts and an actual and life itself. Mali Almeida, it's no spoiler to say that he's dead at the start of the actual book, and he's looking back at his life, and he's looking at this whodunit that's going on, and they're trying to solve the mystery of his death. It then goes, as I said, into you're flying, and you get maybe 6, 7, 8 pages done. For instance, the time that the detectives went back to the actual house that he was staying in, he was renting, and we went from room to room, and everything was very engaging and very strong prose. And then afterwards, later, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. There's 4 or 5 pages. I don't know where I'm coming or going, or who I'm looking at. And I find that very hard work. I find it tough to read. There could be a little, even in half a sentence, there could be a kind of a giveaway. I knew very little about Sri Lankan history, and I don't know an awful lot more now, but very little before I started the book, and didn't realise that in 1990, when this book is set, that it was the Sri Lankan Civil War. I've picked that up either from, let's say, people talking about it, or maybe reading articles on it, or whatever, but I found it hard to pick what's important in the book and the information coming out to me. Yes, I picked up a certain amount, but there was so much coming at me. And there's some pages that I have to kind of reread and go back over it and see what was really being mentioned there, or maybe my mind begins to drift a little because I'm not quite aware of where we are, and then I miss something, and I have to step back 2 pages, or not 2 pages, 2 lines, and I'm wondering where I am. The frustration is coming out there now. Sometimes I've just had to put it down, and then I'll pick up another book for a while, and then I'll say, nah, this is getting the better of me. I'm definitely going to finish this particular book, and I will too, but it might be Christmas by the time I get it finished. But look, the first thing I gotta say is, it's called The 7 Moons of Mali Almeida. It took 7 years to write. It was started in 2014, and at that particular time, it was called The Devil Dance, should I say, and it was about based in the aftermath of the tsunami, and you had a lot of migrants travelling around on a bus, and only one or two of the characters spent 3 years writing that particular book, and it never really saw the light of day. As he said himself, only some of the characters came, and maybe the bus, I think, came into this particular version of this story. It reminds me a bit of the Grimm Brothers as it moved along from its initial inception, and the Grimm Brothers brought out their first book with 12 fairy tales in it in 1812, but by 1857 the stories had changed quite a bit. Evil mothers became evil stepmothers, and also more and more was added, and of course they had loads of stories 45 years later. This didn't quite take 45 years to change, but what it did do is it's taken 7 years, and it was actually published by an Asian publisher back in 2020, and it was published under the name Chats with the Dead, again based really for the Sri Lankan and Indian market. It didn't go down well with other publishers. The European publishers didn't bite, the American publishers likewise, and so eventually, I think it's, I gotta get the glasses out here. Is it Onshore or something publishers? And if I'm wrong about that, no, sorry, Sort of sort of books. Okay, well, it certainly is a sort of a book. Sort of books came on board, and he actually paid homage to them and thanked them, and they looked at the book Chats with the Dead, and they revised it over the COVID period, and then brought out the book in 2021. So anybody who spends 7 years writing a book, and again, no guarantee that a publisher will take it. I keep thinking of William Golding and his famous book and Lord of the Flies, and it took 45 different publishers before it was actually taken on board as a book, and then afterwards he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. It was his first book, and little did they realise when they took him on board he would win the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1983. So yes, I will struggle on with this particular book. I was very, very impressed by the author, as I say, and yeah, well done to him. He was actually talking about some of, he talked about the political section, whereby if you write a book that maybe somebody mightn't like, there's always a danger, like as has happened to Salman Rushdie over the summer in 2022, you can get attacked, and not just because of the satanic verses. Other authors have written books and maybe didn't realise that they were probably stepping on toes that they shouldn't be stepping on. He himself mentioned in the press conference afterwards that when Salman Rushdie was attacked, and he himself was actually is currently writing a selection of short stories, and one of the stories in it, his wife kind of went to him and said, "Listen, look, I love the book, I love the story and all that, but having said that, I think you shouldn't publish this. I think we've 2 young kids and a family, and you got to take that into account." It's very valid. So yeah, maybe all of us don't think of that when we're reading the books. Moving right along, yes, it was lovely to see Alan Garner there, and unfortunately he wasn't there, but he was up on a big screen sitting in his house up above in Cheshire in a big red seat, and probably felt with COVID and all that at 88 he might be safer. It was also his birthday, that he might be safer, and they sang happy birthday to him. It was brilliant. Might be safer staying at home. Likewise, Elizabeth Strout became ill on the day itself and didn't appear at the ceremony, but all the rest were there: Percival Everett and No Violet Bulawayo, and of course Claire Keegan, who's quite a tall lady. Yeah, it's not the type of book that I would be mad about, I gotta be honest. I prefer a straight book like Claire Keegan's or Elizabeth Strout's, but yeah, it is the winner, and we'll just have to bow and acknowledge that. It is very much a Booker Prize book, a heavy book, a book that's kind of hard to get through. And I just looking back over the last couple of years, I have here with me Milkman by Anna Burns a couple of years ago. Yeah, 2018, Northern Ireland writer, and again, I got through it and I read the book. Was I any the wiser afterwards? Did it enlighten my life anyway? Do I remember all about it, or I remember the struggle? I remember that it was a difficult read, or I remember parts of the book itself, because it was a little different, the parks, the lady walking around the parks in Northern Ireland, but I found it hard work. Likewise, I've just referred to Michael Anjates. I love the film. This book was not one I would have picked as a Booker Prize winner. And finally, I've got to refer to Hilary Mantel. Some people love this book and love Hilary Mantel, but I struggled with it, gotta be honest. And though she's a fantastic writer, lovely prose and all that, what really annoyed me about the book was the fact that at the start of each chapter, I never was quite sure what particular character was being referred to, whether it was Thomas Cromwell, or certainly it was never the character that was at the end of the previous chapter. Now that's fair enough, but then please let us know which character it is, and not have us read for 3.5, 4 pages until eventually we find out it's another person altogether. And that happened umpteen times, and it really disturbed my reading of it, because then I had to go back to the start of the chapter once I realised it was, we'll say, character X, and then went all the way through it again. And breaking rhythm, breaking you know, my enjoyment of the actual book. So I'm not a big fan. I tried reading it twice, and I have to say it's one of the few Booker Prize winners that I didn't finish. I think I got halfway the first time, and I got to about a quarter more, 3/4 the way through, and then I gave up the will to live. So like, they love that kind of convoluted, a lot happening there. They love also this magic realism. You know, I think back of Midnight's Children, Salman Rushdie, a winner as well too. And Seven Moons of Mali Almeida is almost like a Sri Lankan version of the Indian Midnight's Children. Now, one thing that Shehan Karunatilaka said was definitely that he would hope that maybe in 5 or 6 or 7 years time, or 10 years time, that this particular book would be found in the fantasy section of the bookshops or the library, and not to be found in the political satire or the magical realism section of it. It's also a whodunit, so there's a police investigation there as well. So look, congratulations to him, commiserations to the others. Second time that no Violet Bulawayo has missed out on the final prize. Maybe someday she will win it. What's this channel? What's the future for the channel? Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm just putting up a book there. You can see it there, The Colony by Audrey McGee, an Irish writer. And I'm not just picking it because it's an Irish writer. Lots of people had great things to say about it. It was longlisted for the Booker Prize this particular year, and I'm going to read it this particular month for basically my November the 20th. I'm going to bring it out November the 20th vlog, and you're very welcome to join me to read it. If you've read it already, well then please post a comment under this particular in the comment section underneath this particular vlog, and if you want, I'll read it out, unless you want to put in some kind of comment that you'd prefer it wasn't read out, or maybe if you want to maybe put in anonymous, and I'll just say, listen, this is what X person thought about it, without naming a name. But I certainly will name some of the names as well. I have in my last vlog already, somebody has talked about it, and I had the book ordered already. It's been ordered for a while now from the book depository. I haven't had it delivered yet, but I will be discussing that book next month on November the 20th. I'm involved in the book club myself, and I know a lot of the book club people are members of they've subscribed to the channel, so we have a book ourselves. I certainly will be reading that one as well, but you are very welcome to join me in reading The Colony, as I said, by Audrey McGee, and we will discuss it this time next month. The format of it, I think, will be, I'll basically kind of give my own impression of what I thought of the book, whether I liked it, didn't like it, why I liked it, why I didn't like it. I won't give away too many spoilers of the book, because I do understand that, you know, it's not the done thing, but you know, people might want to read it, and yet they've seen the vlog. But also, I'll read out what other people have had to say as well too. If you give me your opinions and thoughts, I'd be delighted with that. So look, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. If you liked what you saw, please give me a like. It helps develop the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, well, why not subscribe for more chats on books? And yeah, well, it is me doing the chatting. I appreciate that, but I certainly will start reading out things in the comment section that people would like to post. So from me, take care. Till the next time, talk to you soon.